Good evening, guys. How you doing? Let's make sure we got some audio here. That looks good. Meter's moving. How's everybody? We got a few people to start off with tonight. Tomas, how you doing? And Jerry. I don't know. It sounds like a tough thing to do, man. But I wish you the best with your editing and it's a tough thing. It's just a tough thing. I lost my dad in 1990, long before we were editing videos. So I don't have any. I never had to go through that. But good luck and just work on through it, man. Drone Nut, how you doing? And Craig, Mad Kiwi. I imagine you're still here. And Drone Shots. How you doing? Ken Cardosa, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Well, here we are, Thursday night. Got the studio back in order converted from a workshop to a studio again after I built that airplane. And I don't know how many of you guys actually saw that because I didn't get a big audience for that live build. I did four videos, about 2 hours each, I think, which turned out to be maybe 20-25% of the actual building on that airplane. But it's ready to fly. It's ready to fly. Now I got it. Now, of course it's ready to fly. The 2-3 days where I spent most of the time building, the weather was gorgeous. And now it's raining. Cold front came through, our first real cold front of the year. And I guess, and tomorrow and Saturday they're calling for breezy, which means like 20 knot winds. And so maybe Sunday or Monday I'll actually get out to fly the thing, and I'll bring the cameras along and take some pictures of the maiden flights on it. It was turned out to be quite a project. Joe's RC Corner, how you doing, man? Plane look good. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the maiden too. And thanks for coming in, man. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and give you a blue wrench like everybody else. Make you part of the family here. And I haven't. The fact that you don't have a wrench means this is your first time here, so I hope we don't bore you too badly. There you go. Next time you post, you should be blue like there you go, blue like the rest of us. And that's pretty good considering there's a delay before you actually heard me say that. Who else we got here? I think that's about it so far. It says we've got 8 people watching, and I've sent out a bunch of invitations. I tried something different tonight. I blind copied everybody. I got that idea from Spike, so that yeah. Well, there was my question is answered. My question, I was going to ask if the blind copy emails got out there, and sure enough, who shows up in my green room but the proud owner of a brand new Mavic mini drone. And I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. So let's welcome in Mr. Chris Hope. Chris,
What's up, Mitch?
how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
If I was any better, it'd be illegal.
Well, let's don't do that just yet.
Let me welcome No Fly Drone. Hey, man, thanks for coming in, man. This is my new hero, this No Fly Drone. I found all of his videos on the binary. He found me because of that airplane I just built, and turns out he's way ahead of me. He's doing these long-range flights with 4G LTE. In other words, he's got the drone. He's communicating with the drones through the 4G cellular network, which means the distance from him is irrelevant because he's wherever there's cell phone coverage, he can fly. And he flies these things way away, and he's using Ardu Pilot, and he's got a notebook computer sitting in the back of his in the back of his car, and he's got a big joystick like a real pilot. So I'm fascinated by that stuff, and I'm glad you stopped by. Let me give you a wrench here and make you part of the family, and throw your first name in there too, so we know what to call you other than No Fly Drone, and maybe we get you to fly drones one of these days.
Hey,
So,
Mitch.
Chris, back to you, buddy. How I was surprised to see that video of your new Mavic Mini there.
That's the only time I've got to fly. It's been wet and cold ever since.
Oh, welcome to the club. I was really surprised to see that. I had no idea you were going to get one of those things.
Yeah, I had told a few people, but I hadn't had a chance to get on your show and talk about it in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So, and if my wife, I'm fixing to take my wife to dinner. It's her birthday, so if you see me have to do a quick exit, that's why I'm at the
Oh,
restaurant.
okay. Well, listen, thanks for coming in. Let's say hi to Trev. Manic Magic lives. I'm glad to
Trevor,
hear
hey
that,
Trevor.
buddy. Yeah, Trevor came in.
Yeah,
Peter Carroll. The Australia is waking up here. They're all coming to visit us. Yeah. Well, good morning, guys over there, the land down under, and always love to have you. Thanks for stopping by. So, what drove you to get that thing, Chris?
I'm gonna be honest with you. The portability, Mitch. It's no bigger. My iPhone 8 Plus covers it up. You can't see it.
No kidding. No
Yes,
kidding. I'll tell you the video. I commented on your video. The video it's hard to tell it from a Mavic Pro actually, or
you know, I'm not a videographer. A Kenny Cardoso or somebody like that. I'd like to see them take the footage and play with it and really clean it up. That's just me at my house with just something that's free off the internet playing with it, and I was very happy with it.
yeah, I'm really. I think it's going to be a real popular little drone, and I didn't even know they were shipping them yet. I just found out
Yeah,
that they started shipping them.
I ordered it from Best Buy the morning that I got to work, and at 9 o'clock, 9:01, I had it ordered, and I didn't get confirmation that it had been shipped till Sunday morning about 11 o'clock.
Wow, and
That was ordered on October the 30th, I believe. So it took 10, 11 days before I get a confirmation it was even going to be shipped.
well, I think they said that. What was the date? Was it the 11th that it was they were supposed to start shipping them? But
Right, that was Monday, and I got
uh,
it made it Monday afternoon.
wow.
Hey, buddy, I hate to cut you loose, but she is pulling in, man.
Oh man. Okay. Well, I'll.
If we get through in time to get home, I'll jump back on
Hey,
with that kid
that's
show.
great, Chris. And listen, I really appreciate you stopping by,
Oh
and
yes, sir. You always invite. I'm gonna try to make it every once in a while, buddy.
I appreciate that. You're a good man, and enjoy that drone. And if we see you later, we will. If not, I'll probably catch you in the chat room on Ken's show. But
Yeah,
I don't. That chat goes by so fast, and
it's hard to keep up with.
I'm
It
usually
sure
out on
is.
my patio smoking a cigar, watching it. Streaming my cell phone to the TV out there, and so I have to. If I'm going to type, I have to type on that tiny little cell phone keyboard, which is no fun. So I usually just watch the show, but I usually come and
I
say
got
hi
you, man.
anyway. All right.
I
Well,
may
thanks.
slip back in. I may slip back in after supper, buddy.
Good. Appreciate it. Well, have a nice supper.
Yes, sir. I'll holler at you in a little bit.
Take care. Good seeing you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, I'm all alone again. Um, it's an open invitation. Anybody like to jump in here with me? I like to have company. That way, I don't have to. Oh, Manic Magic is back here without the lives. Uh, and you don't even have a wrench, man. So I guess we have to make you a moderator on that channel. How many channels do you have there, Trev? There you go. So, let me catch up with the chat here. Peter's here, Jerry's still here, Kenny, Tomas, Trev, Tomas, same guys. Okay, well, we got a little bit of a start. Uh, so I finished the airplane, and it turned out to be a a much bigger job than I thought it was going to be. Not building the airplane because it was a foam airplane. It went together pretty straightforward, but putting all that flight controller stuff in there and learning iNav and setting up all the modes and everything, and it's very very capable, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I think I got it set up like, the controls throws are probably adequate. I've got dual rates set up on it, so if it's overly sensitive, I can tame it down a little bit. The CG center of gravity, of course, is very important in airplanes. It's not as important in drones, but I hunted everywhere on that airplane for some indication of where the CG is supposed to be. Now there was some marks molded in the bottom of the wing, but they were underneath where the ESCs went. So once you got those installed, you couldn't see the marks. I did make a pen mark outside of it so I could find it, but and the only reference to CG I saw anywhere on the entire internet was in their literature. It says CG bumps on the wings, and there are no bumps on the bottom of the wings other than the CG. And I see Joe has said he used the spar on mine and it worked great. Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I had bought a 6,000 milliamp 4 cell, and turns out even if I put that thing almost all the way back underneath the flight controller, it still appeared to be nose heavy based on those marks that were under the wing. But that's behind the spar, and I think. But you say you balance yours on the spar, and it works out well. So that's good. Is the CG kind of forgiving in that thing, or is it pretty critical? Some airplanes, if you're not right on, they don't fly. I'm hoping that this thing is slightly forgiving. At any rate, it based on what I'm used to, when you hold a RC wing in your hand and you put your fingers about 35-40% back from the leading edge. That seems to be where it's balancing. I did put a little smaller battery in it, and I still have to put it back fairly far because I got all that FPV camera and stuff up front, I guess. Anyway, we'll see. Yeah, and you're right. You're much better to be a little nose heavy, Joe. And we'll see. And Trev said he'd jump on. Need the link. All right. Why don't I do this? Why don't I just put the link in the chat itself, and that way anybody that wants to jump on here with me can do that. And if you don't behave yourself, I can always throw you out. StreamYard link. There it is. So anybody that wants to come in and chat it up a little while, talk about anything, drones, airplanes, the new YouTube nonsense that's going on. Jody, I see you're back, and I noticed that Mike is here too. Night Train, good to see you. I didn't realize you had a stream at 7 o'clock tonight as well, Mike. But so we're going to overlap about an hour. So sorry about that. I try to come on when I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. But I got a guest here, and it is Trev. And I see gray. Are you there, Trev?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
don't
just
see-
bringing my camera up.
Ah, okay. Okay. How you feeling?
Good. I can leave the other camera on, I suppose. I haven't got the other camera hooked up. That's okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay. Oops. He's gone. So let's see if he comes back. All of a sudden I lost him. So Trev, I don't know where you went. It says device not connected. So you connect my camera. So evidently you're well, we'll see if you can get back in. Right now I can't do anything with you. I've got a box with your name in it, but it says devices not connected. So it lost your mic and camera, and I guess it's smart enough. Mike came here to relax before he goes on. This is pretty relaxing. EBR, how you doing? How you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. Good to see you, and wait for Trev to come back if he gets his equipment working over there. I know he's got that fancy OBS set up with all that psychedelic stuff going on in the background, but what else is going on? Mike Getz, how you doing, Mike? Quick break from work. Everybody's doing fine, I guess. How you doing, man? Thanks for coming in. Everybody keeps coming and going. I guess Trev's not coming back in. But the invitation is open. I don't know where all the regulars are tonight. I did send out all these emails, but it's a strange time, I guess. I keep lamenting about this every week when we do this, about how it's supper time here on the East Coast and 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the West Coast, and strange time people are coming home from work or whatever. But it's the time I picked. It's what I do, and people watch. I'm happy. I'm happy. I was going to talk about this YouTube stuff that. So let me start out by saying that no, this show is not for children. I mean, we don't do anything on here that would offend children, but evidently, from what I understand, and I've watched, I looked into it a little bit, not too much, but I mean, looking into airplanes and drones and things is a better use of my time than trying to figure out what YouTube is up to. But apparently what happened is that the United States government, specifically the Federal Trade Commission, is on a tear, and fined YouTube big time for evidently inappropriate content for children. But I don't know if that's YouTube's fault or not. But the one thing that concerned me was this little fella from the FTC whose video clip I keep seeing. I think it may be on a mission here, because not only is he using phrases like shooting fish in a barrel, in case you haven't seen it, he said that not only will they go after YouTube for inappropriate content aimed at children, but they're going to also go after individual creators, and that the potential fine for doing something that they deem is inappropriate for children would be $45,000. So I don't know about you, but I say to myself, is this stuff worth those kind of risks anymore? We fly drones, and we have to worry about crossing the FAA and getting a $11,000 or $10,000 fine for not marching in line with everything they think. Although they're an organization, and I've dealt with all my life as a pilot and never really had a problem with them. And they're usually, most of the guys in the FAA are aviation-oriented guys, and I've had good dealings with them. But so we have to worry about breaking the law and getting fined when we go out and fly if we miss a little something, or somebody complains, which people like to do. And now we have to worry about another arm of the government, the Federal Trade Commission, who said that it would be easy to go after YouTube creators because we know where to find them. They're all on YouTube. And he actually used the term shooting fish in a barrel. And I don't know if anybody else found that disturbing, but I found it kind of disturbing. And then this is, I think, the first video that I posted Trev is back. I'll be with you in a second, Trev, as I finish this thought. I think this is the first video that I actually created since this happened, and I noticed in the actual setup of the video that I had to make a choice, and right there, right at the top of the thing, it said, you know, yes, this has children's content, or no, it doesn't. So I checked no. No children's content here, leave me alone. And then I went into the channel settings, and under advanced settings, you have three choices. One is, yes, I have children's content. Two is, no, I don't have children's content. And the third choice said, let me decide individually for each video. So what I did was I just said no, because I don't ever intend to make children's content. And then I found out what they mean by, or what they consider as anything that might attract children. Not that your content is designed to be directed towards children, but that something in your video children might find interesting and watch. For example, if you have any music, like children's music in your video, that qualifies. If you have any cartoony stuff in there, that qualifies. And there was 6 or 7 different things I heard that if any of that's in your videos, whether you said there's children's content or not, it's irrelevant. They're going to decide what children might find interesting, and then if something in your video is inappropriate for children, they will claim that your video had the prerequisites to attract children, and then you had inappropriate content for children. And I just think that this is going to create a nightmare for YouTube, and I can't blame you can't blame YouTube. I guess I can't. Maybe I'm missing something. But let me bring Trev in here, and we'll talk about it some more. I see a chair. I don't see Trev. I see, oh, a gaming chair and a green screen. All right, we'll wait. We'll wait for Trev. I'll just do this, and we're here, Trev. So at any rate, I just have to be very careful, and I think we all have to be very careful that we don't have anything in our videos that children might find attractive. Now, are children going to find drone flying attractive? Wow, what would happen if the Federal Trade Commission decided that children are attracted to drones, and therefore all drone channels are children's content, and therefore any video that has drones in it is going to be looked at very closely to see if there might be anything in there inappropriate for children. And is one accidental F-bomb enough to get you a $45,000 fine? Now I don't really think that that's going to happen on a daily basis, but unfortunately the let's call it legislation, is there, and it's in place, and their guidelines are in place. And what I was saying was that I honestly don't think this is YouTube's fault unless some major changes are made in the way that our government views YouTube. YouTube, like Facebook and Twitter, are platforms. And by the definition of the fact that they can't be sued because of something that creators put up on them, that they're not responsible as a platform for content put up by people. They're just providing the stage. For example, if you have a park and you have a stage and somebody gets up on the stage and puts on a play, the parks saying, you know, this is a public park and the stage is for anybody. We don't editorialize. We don't check the content of what's going on. We are just providing server space and bandwidth for people to post this stuff. And because that's what they do, the government gives them benefits of being immune from a lot of things, including, I believe, lawsuits, because they're supposedly not responsible. But it appears to me that all of a sudden these content platforms are now becoming publishers and not just platforms. And a publisher is a different thing. A publisher is responsible for its content, much like a TV station and other things. And I think that right now YouTube has benefited from not being a publisher, but this one act by the FTC finding them for not policing the content, I think takes them out of that platform realm, puts them into the publisher realm. And if that happens, the whole thing is going to just change dramatically. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. At any rate, that's just my 2 cents. So we've got. I'm being kept company by an empty room over there in Australia. Ain't technology wonderful? Let me look at the. My kids are 6 and 10. They love flying planes and driving. Yeah. They want to turn off the comments section if it's children. That's possible. Like I say, I haven't dived all that deeply in it. My channel's not monetized yet, and I'm just an old guy that gets on here and talks about drones. I don't think I'll be offending any children anyway, but this kind of smacks of Big Brother watching, and my lifetime experiences with government and government regulators in most cases have not been real good. So we'll see. We'll have to see what happens, and it makes you wonder whether I'm coming up on 1 year now. 1 year of doing this. December the 9th will be my 1 year anniversary, and not knowing what I was doing, and not even knowing if anybody'd be interested, I just started doing all kinds of different things that I enjoyed doing, and I figured, well, maybe somebody will find it interesting. I don't ever expect to be another big YouTube star with big money income from it. I'm not young enough, and I'm not pretty enough for that, but there are a few of us old geezers out there that like to hang out together, and that's kind of what I have, and I try to keep it interesting. I try to do different things in the hobby, and now I'm bringing the airplanes into the drones, and so we do the camera drones, we do the FPV drones, and now going to do the FPV fixed wing, and maybe somebody will find it interesting. I didn't get a lot of play on those build videos that I did, but it is what it is. So we'll see, but it's been a lot of work, and it's been a year of work in making, spending money, investing in my little studio setup here, and watching this stuff every day, and watching the subscribers grow and the watch hours, and to have to even contemplate just saying who needs it, who needs to take the risks. I don't know. I'm up in the air. We'll see what happens. Who's that? Joe celebrated my 1 year on YouTube too. It is a lot of work, my friend. It really is. Hey, Jerry. Jerry Calvary says he'll be impressed when I put a plane up and chase it with a quad at the same time. Well, There's only one guy I know. That's I think that's AJ Alvarez now that seems to get four things going at the same time. But I do have a Skydio 2 coming, and don't think that I haven't thought about strapping that beacon onto the RC airplane and turning the Skydio loose and seeing what happens. And I'm sure I'm not the first person that's thought about that, but I think that'd be pretty cool. You'd have to fly pretty slow. Most of these RC airplanes go a lot faster than 20 miles an hour. But it would be interesting to see the drone at least staying pointed at the airplane because it knows where the beacon is. And that's one of the things that I was thinking about doing. I see Steve Carpenter's here. How you doing, Steve? Good to see you. You're not pretty enough to do, yeah. From one to another, Steve. I don't think either one of us is ever going to be a huge TV star. Now, if I had Ken Herron's hair and his radio talents, I might have a more of a leg up than I have now. But unfortunately, I don't. So somebody come in here and keep me some company. I'm gonna take that Trev out of here until I see some movement down there. And anybody else, let's get something going here. Let's get a little conversation. Put that link back in here again, and let's see. There it is. Click on that link and show us your face. So what else is new? Chris Hope was in here. He got himself a Mavic Mini, and I think that no fly drone. I put my disco in loiter and chased it with my Mavic, with the Mavic 2 Pro loitering 2, 3 at a time. Oh man. Did you do a video of that? Because that one I'd like to see. But this Skydio, I mean, we're sneaking up on the date and when they're supposed to start shipping them. And I know, Steve, you haven't heard anything more than I have. I don't imagine yet. We did get the email saying they were going to ship the first batch of them after around the end of November. And I know Steve's order number is slightly before my order number, but I think both of our orders are close enough together where we should probably ship very close to each other. And anyway, I'm really looking forward to it because I've seen a number of new videos popping up. I don't know if you guys have if you guys have seen some of the newer videos. Some bicyclist who would mountain bike has got his hands on one of these things, and he's put out a number of videos that one of them was trying to follow him down a trail through some very thick woods. And I mean, the drone sometimes kind of hung itself up. It never hit anything, but it stopped when there was just a whole lot of small, tiny little branches with no leaves. But most of the time, it actually figured its way around it, and it was absolutely it was amazing to see. And then he did another video where he was actually out on a more open trail, and I got to tell you, even if somebody was following along behind you and trying to fly the drone and get the shots that this thing got, it would take one hell of a drone pilot. So I have a funny feeling that this Skydio is going to make us drone pilots feel kind of insignificant, because this thing is going to be able to do it better than we can. And I see some movement here. All right, there he is. Man, look
How
at
you
that.
going? Sorry about that. The nurse just arrived and I had to get
Oh man.
administrated.
Well, I mean, I could use a nurse, but
Yeah,
so
there's always two ways to skin a cat. I went on my main device, but the other camera wasn't working properly. And then I had to shoot out and shoot back in, and then the nurse arrived. So I went on my mobile. So,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
I try to support your show as much as I can, Mitch. But usually this time my nurse comes, you see, and it's inconvenient. But I do love your show, but I try to get your replays.
Well, I
So,
appreciate that. How you feeling, man?
I had a bit of a meltdown a couple of weeks ago. I'm going to do a blog today that I lost a week and I don't know where it is, and I'm trying to find it, and I'm still looking.
Really? But I mean,
I did lose a week. I lost some weight mentally. I had a meltdown and they did a SWAT. Kiwi ended up, Mad Kiwi rang up the police and the ambulance to try to see how I was, because they took all my medication, you see, and because that dehydrates me and brings my livers up. And I went through a meltdown and went mentally ill. The doctors was aware of that. They knew it was going to happen. But I had to try keep my waters up. And it didn't matter what I drank. I just couldn't get enough fluids.
huh?
So I'm over that now, and I got through with a bit of rest and that. And I thank Kiwi very much for doing the personal SWAT. They were trying to, Ron Lockwood tried to get help, but they couldn't get help from America. So they couldn't get Australian on board at the time. So they got Kiwi, and Kiwi knew what to do. So, yeah, so I've had a bit of a rough I've had operations to see prior to that. And things have now, I've had epiphanies. My YouTube channel's lifted, growing. Algorithms growing faster than ever. And the reason why I wanted to quickly jump on, to give you a bit of advice and some of the other viewers, the reason why I've got two channels now in regarding to my Manic Magic channel is with this children stuff as well as the algorithm. The reason is I had tough time getting on my phone regarding live streaming and that with relating to children. They wanted to shift me and put me on my PC to be able to change the settings. I couldn't change the settings at the lake where I wanted to do a quick live stream. So I had to come home, and by that things changed. I had friends coming, and you know, your life changes around with your friends and family come first. And so what I did was I formed another channel, but I wanted the lives to be with my 1,600 subscriber count, so I could do lives at any time and relate that main count, because I want the live streams to get the viewer count up and the watch hours. So that's why Manic Magic now is down only a couple of hundred subscribers or whatever it is. It might even be lower still, I don't know.
Huh.
And so if you've got Manic Magic, please support the new channel. So then I'll base that on children only. Adults can watch it, but I want to target it with children because it will help the algorithm. And that way I can police and be in charge of what I put on there. Where Manic Magic Lives is my lifestyle channel, and I do streaming. And basically with the streaming, we're facing particular questions that relating to some vulgarity, maybe a little bit every now and then. When I say that, loose words, because you might be talking about your anatomy or a bit of swearing, a bit of this and that will be based on adult. And I have a few colourful friends.
I was going to say, sometimes it's not you. It's you bring guests in, and
Yeah. So that's why I'm targeting, and that way that helps YouTube satisfied them. But with the two-edged sword, this would help anyone's channel by breaking them up from live stream now, because what happens is with the algorithm, when you do your live streams, it kills off your videos or vice versa. So they advise you not to do any live streams more than 24 hours. Or if you're doing a marathon, don't worry about the algorithm so much. Do it just for the watch hours until you get your 1,000. Then you do you try to do your live streams on a regular basis per day, 24 hours, and then watch your algorithm go up. Mine's at 76% now and climbing, and it'll go up to 100. Once 100, it will, because what happens is when you're lower in the percentage, they avoid notifications.
Yeah.
If you do more than 1 or 2 or 3 live streams, they won't give you any notifications at all.
So you gotta make sure you publish some videos mixed in with the live streams, huh?
That's right. You do that too. But with the Manic Magic, I'll do a few live streams occasionally. But I only just started that channel only recent, so I've got a lot of time up my sleeve. So I want to really push my the Manic Magic lives to get that traction.
Okay.
So I can get the watch hours and that.
I'll have to check that out. If you'll excuse me just for like 5 seconds, I need to turn my ceiling fan on here. I saw your ceiling fan, and I'm starting to get warm in here, so I'll be right with you.
I'm always getting warm too. You've got the same weather, Florida and whatnot there, Mitch.
Okay. Yeah, I got all these, I got this fairly powerful computer that's like a radiator in here. And
yes, I've got a fan behind mine, and then if it gets too warm, I put the fan up here, and if it gets warmer again, I'll put my air conditioner on.
I got a fan.
I don't want to overheat my computer. I
got a fan here, and when I did that last live stream build, I used a lavalier mic, which is like an omnidirectional, and everybody was saying they heard all this wind noise in it, and it was that fan. So I want to try an experiment now. You guys hear how this sounds? I want to put this fan on. Tell me.
Go for it.
Here it comes.
I had to put my microphone to that end. And
tell me if you hear this. Tell me if you hear this noise from the fan.
Sounds pretty good to me.
Okay, so this microphone, this Audio Technica that I'm using here, this one, it doesn't pick up the wind noise as much. But boy, I'll tell you, it's so nice to have that little fan blowing on me. It makes it a lot more comfortable. So how I remember seeing you did some stuff from the hospital a short time ago. Was that when you had the surgery?
Yeah, I had 2 surgeries, 2 nights.
So how you feeling? You feeling better?
It's healed. Everything the doctors asked of me, I have been ministrating and I have been doing it, and it's been healing really well. They give me some special stuff. I believe Jim had some when he had operations, and Rick Halper had very similar. And it's surprising. Once you start getting the story out there, surprising how many men, particularly because that's who I deal with. A lot of the women I don't deal with because we have different needs, and they're two different. We're two different animals.
You think?
No, it's true because
of course it's true.
Because the way we function, we tend to neglect each other and ourselves. We don't have a regime, so that's where my lifestyle channel comes from, which is Manic Magic Lives or Lives. It's a play on words. So because I'm doing live streams as well as making people awareness, particularly men, with all issues where it comes to prostate, it comes to having just a regime for your medication. So many men are out there just because they have so many side effects, and doctors treat you like a a Candy Crush dispenser. I did a little vlog where I showed my medication, 19 tablets just for breakfast.
Oh my
And
God.
they're all different colours. And I said, now I'm a Candy Crush dispenser. Well, what happens is it affects your stomach and that.
You think?
So, I mean, this is not relating to drones, but this is where it does relate to drones. A lot of people like Philly Life and that have situated their life around drones to be able to try to make the excuse to try to get active and try to get on right track. That's why drones are very important. So anything I have to say, drones, 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 drones all the way, mate.
Well, I guess I don't know if I guess I've taken care of myself, or I'm a very lucky old guy.
Oh, well, you just do all the wrong things and smoke.
I don't,
and it's all good for you.
I take one, I have one prescription,
Yeah.
and
What
it's,
did you do?
and-
Can I
and
ask what that's for?
yeah, it's a high blood pressure.
Well,
And
they
my,
had to take my blood pressure off because my blood pressure's worked out fine.
anyway, my blood pressure is it's just a little high,
Okay.
and I could probably get away without it, but I end up taking one half of the smallest size pill
Right.
that they make. So I gotta cut these stupid pills in half. But that's it.
And
And
not only that, this is what this channel's about. Not only that, you could probably research some of the foods you take that reduce blood pressure.
yeah, well,
So you could probably take
that's where I could probably teach. And that might be one of the reasons why I am so healthy is I have been
that's good.
I have been
I applaud you, Mitch.
what's that?
I applaud you for your I don't know whether it's determination. It's just that the way that you've been able to develop that. Well done.
Well, I subscribed years and years and years ago to the low carbohydrate theory
Hmm.
that sugar is poison and that natural foods, even if the government said they were bad for you, is what our ancestors ate and humans actually
Exactly.
evolved eating. So I found, I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, I found information about, and this is, and they, back then, okay, they called they called it the Paleolithic diet.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
Now
It's wonderful.
paleo is a big deal now, but I'm talking about 50 years ago. So I started
Yeah.
reading all this stuff about this, and it's a simple philosophy: is if figure out, if you can, where your ancestors came from,
Mhm.
and where they were about 500 to 1,000 years ago. What part of the world were they in? And in that part of the world, what was the food supply? What was available to them? And try
And
to
how
eat.
did they administer it?
Yeah, and try to eat. Now, that, there's always additives and hormones and all kinds of preservatives and stuff that they didn't have. But basically, when I looked back at my ancestry, we're meat eaters primarily.
Yeah.
Meat eaters. So I started being a meat eater. I never worried about eating fat. I try to avoid synthetic fats or vegetable fats, but as far as
Yes,
like
that's
bacon and eggs, to me, bacon and eggs is the healthiest thing on the planet.
Exactly. This is what I'm in my channel. I get a little cup, right, which is a microwave cup. And so you don't even have to, as a lazy, if you want to, the reason why you need to develop on your laziness in cooking when working in this area of is basically you've got to have little meals. And sometimes it can take up a lot of time
It does.
or a lot of planning. So what I've done is I developed a regime where while you're doing YouTube and whatnot, particularly, you can do a meal within 5 minutes and do it as still eatable and really nice by ministering certain ways without avoiding the fat. So what I do is get the microwave cup I put a little bit of mashed potato in there because you've got to have some warm, just as an idea. Then what you do is you heat that up, put an egg in or two, you heat that up for 2 minutes, and then you chop up bacon and put that on top, herbs and spices, a little bit of natural salts. You can use vegetable salts, whatever, a bit of pepper. And by cooking it to the top, say 4 minutes in total, the egg yolk's still running, if you want it that way. And you've got your bacon and eggs, and it's still delicious.
And for
within 4
years,
minutes.
for years, all you heard from the quote experts was they called everything I eat, they called heart attack food. I mean, that's what they called it. You're eating heart attack food. You need to eat. You become a vegetarian. Yeah, and you know, and here I am. I mean, Trev.
Well,
listen.
Yep.
I will be 73 years old in May. Okay.
Well done, buddy.
And here's people. My grandfather lived to be 102. My father almost 100, and they did the same thing. They ate. That's what they ate. That's just the style. They didn't know why they were eating that way, but that's what they ate. They didn't eat a lot of sweets. They didn't eat a lot of bread, carbohydrates. They ate real food. And you know, and I'm doing, and I have people are you know, I'm like 71 years old, and my doctor tells me how I'm supposed to eat, and the doctor is sick, and I'm healthy. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And like I've met people like you that say, "Well, I'll be here well after you're dead," as a doctor.
It's like
they tell them that, and they are.
My grandfather, he's a funny guy, and I smoke cigars. I don't inhale, and I never smoke cigarettes, but I do like cigars. And so far, you know, if they kill me, they'll kill me. But my grandfather smoked cigars all his life. I mean, that's what he did. Every day when he got back from his business, he would go into his den and he'd have a cigar and a Canadian Club highball, Canadian Club and water. You know, one drink a day. That was it. Yeah. And he would invariably, you know, as he was getting older, as he was getting to be, you know, in his 80s and his 90s, everybody, his name was Harry, they'd say, Harry, you know, maybe you should think about giving up those cigars. And his answer was the same, and I'd heard it many times, and I still laughed every time. And he would say, you know, it's funny you say that. 25 years ago, my doctor told me that if I didn't quit smoking cigars, I wasn't going to live another 10 years. And invariably they come back and they say to him, well, what does your doctor think now? And his answer was, I don't know. He died 20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I may have got that off of your show a while back. I can remember I think you may have told that story. And so I've ran with it too, because it's so true.
Yeah, and that's of all the things I remember about my grandfather, that's the one that sticks in my mind. Now, I am, for whatever reason, I decided that I am going to cut way back on the cigar smoking. Not because this is funny, not because I'm worried about the health aspects of it, and you know, I'm a bachelor, and I just got tired of chasing women here who because they would, you know, when you first meet a woman, and at my age, the only women that I would even find, you know, that I found attractive were 15, 20 years younger than me anyway.
Yeah, I'm the
and you know,
same.
what have I got, and what do they want with me, you know? And
vice versa.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, they knew I smoked cigars, and everything was fine until we get like a month or two into the relationship. And then the ultimatum would come. You know,
Yeah.
Mitch, I really
Don't like
thought
the
I could put up with the cigars, but I got to tell you, you know, they really stink, and so you're going to have to make it. You're going to have to make a choice. They would say you're
Yeah.
going to have to. It's going to be have to be either be me or the cigars,
This is
and
the cigar
I
one.
would I would turn to them, and this is true. I would turn to them and I would say, well, you know, I'm sorry to hear that, but listen, on your way out, you got a light. That's what I would say to them.
Fair enough.
On
Own
your
it.
way out, you got a
Own
light.
it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, for one reason or other, just never. I was married twice for a total of like 35 years, and
Oh
I guess I
well,
had enough of
I
that. I
mean,
think.
I think, and when you've been married a couple of times or deep relationships, um, sometimes you've got to just do your thing. Be maybe sometimes you become a little bit selfish in relationships because you get so many opportunities. You just can do what you want to do.
Yeah,
You
and
don't
you get
have
used to that.
report. You don't have to report to the
Yeah,
partner,
you do get used.
and
You get
sometimes
used to
that's a
it.
good feeling.
You know, you get used to it. Hey, sometimes you miss the companionship, but then
Yeah.
you know, what does it cost? What's the price? What do you give up for it? And
Yeah,
you
I
know,
had a mate that's no longer with us now, and he says whether you pay for it now or you pay for it later, sometimes it's better just go to the knock shop and pay for it there.
yeah, yeah. That's that's true.
And now
But
he's no longer with us. Poor guy, he died in a car accident, but I can remember him saying that.
that's
Whether
funny.
you pay for it now or you pay for it later, you're going to pay for it.
Night Train says George Burns smokes 15 cigars a day and lived to 90. I thought George Burns lived to be over 100. I believe.
Well,
I
think he
think
was
yeah,
over
he was.
100.
I remember when he celebrated his 100th birthday. If I may be mistaken, but
Well, it doesn't matter. After 90, you can lie about your age and get away with it.
yeah, and you know, if you get to be 90 years old,
Yeah.
you get to be 90 years old and somebody tells you something isn't good for you, tell them to F-O, you know. Say,
Yeah.
listen, I'm 90 years old. At this point, something's going to kill me. I'm going to do what I want, you know. I mean, what am I saving? I wonder that at my age sometimes, you know. What am I saving it for? I just don't want to be sick. I don't want to be sick. That's the one thing. So that's why I take care of myself. Not that I'm conscientiously trying to live to be the oldest human being on the planet. That'll
Um,
never happen. I just don't want to be sick, you know?
And it's very important not to try too hard because that can cause a lot of worry and problem. Like my father at 50, he nearly worried himself to death at 50 because all his friends were falling off the perch, dying at that age. So he thought he was going to be next. Well,
Oh,
quit about that and just live life. He ended up dying because of his ulcers.
let me say goodbye to Joe's RC Corner. Hey, listen, man, thanks for stopping in. And I just got done watching your video where you built the binary and painted it up with the gray paint, and that's the first I'd seen of you just a half an hour ago or an hour ago. Listen, before I was watching the stream, I was sitting out on my porch watching, and a video comes up, and it's this Joe's RC Corner, and I said, I don't know who this is, but it said binary, and because I did some videos about the Sonic model binary, I'm starting to get a lot of recommendations of videos with this model in it. So I watched it. I watched the whole video start to finish, and where he you know did the painting, and he did a nice job on the video, and I commented on it and said it was nice to meet you, and voila, here he is in my stream. And
Make sure if you could hook me up, I'll hook up back. I'll have a lot of drone videos coming out very shortly. I've got footage, and I'll be doing some mystery skins for mythical creatures and stuff. Butterflies, lizards, luck dragons, etc., birds.
hey,
And they'll
listen,
be harnessed to my
let me
drone.
stop you before this guy Joe gets out of here. Let me stop you a second.
Yeah, go for it.
And I'm gonna get my airplane and show it to him. So hold on a
Yeah,
second.
go and show it to him. And I'll talk
right
while
here.
you're in. Yeah, so hook me up, and I've got some interesting skins that I'm designing for my drone. and I could actually do skins for other people
There it
too.
is.
Yeah, go for
That's
it,
what
Mitch.
that's what I ended up building.
Oh,
For those of you
wonderful.
guys that haven't seen the, let me get the chair out of the way here. For those of you guys
You
that
like to
haven't
catch
seen
up on all your
the build
videos,
videos, this is the airplane right here, and it's all ready and all programmed and ready to go with the maiden flight. It's got the FPV pan and tilt camera. I've got a lost plane beeper back there. It's got a pitot tube and it picks up the airspeed. It's got the Maytech 765 wing controller in it running iNav. It's going to have 2 cameras on it when I'm done, but it's all ready for the maiden flight. So,
wow.
whoops. And if I
Fantastic, Mitch. Don't break it.
We'll actually get to
You
fly.
don't break it.
Okay.
Hey, Mitch, do me a favour.
You never know what's going to
Mitch,
happen
do me a
on this
favour.
live stream.
Yeah, do me a favour, Mitch.
Yeah.
Get Spank the monkey to fly it on your maiden voyage and film it.
He probably do a pretty good job of it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's it. That's it.
You know,
That would get some hits.
I'm still a fairly. I mean, I've only been flying RC airplanes since 1967. So
Yeah, that's right. You're only new at it.
yeah, I'm just getting. It's the drones that I'm new at, but the airplanes I don't have a problem with
Well,
that. This
we're picking
this
it up
thing
for you.
this
This
thing
is
is
on-
gonna this thing is compared to what I used to fly. This is like a toy, but with a new airplane, you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, I'm pretty impressed on your builds and stuff. Like even when you said the Australians weren't up yet, I was Australian all the way through you build one of the builds that you did, but I couldn't comment at the time, and but yeah, I enjoyed that all the way through. I just kept quiet because just kept myself conspicuous.
I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. I see Mel is here. Hey, Mel, how you doing?
There you go, Mel.
How are you, man? Good to see you. So I'm surprised I don't have anybody coming in here. Not that it's not an honor to have you, my friend, but I usually end up with 3 or 4 guys, 5 guys.
Well, it was all a novelty at first, right? And everyone was trying to really push to jump in. But then a lot of people's live streams and videos are starting to get a lot more professional and a lot more work put in. It's harder for people to find time while working on their own channel to get to a lot of other channels at times.
Yeah, I kind of limited. I've kind of gotten into the habit of going on with Spike on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Not that he needs my help or anything, but he makes me feel very welcome.
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
And
I want to get back there, but I've had a bit of a break from that because he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing. And I know that we'll do a bit more work together down the track. But I basically had to, after hospital, work on my channel to try to get it up. So I've split my channel up, like I said, but I've split up my ways of doing it too. With my live streams, I basically keep it raw, a little bit more organic, and have the Aussie feel, like the lights and everything, and buying some new stuff like this sort of gear, just like that, just to make the channel a bit more colourful.
ah, man, I'll tell you what, I got my little
All right,
Donald.
very good.
It's my
Yes,
Donald Trump lawn gnome. My daughter-in-law got this for me, and it's a lawn gnome. You're supposed to stick it out in your garden, and
Yeah.
it says
So you can stick it out in the garden and put him with all the other bullshit.
oh, give me a break. It says make your garden. It says make your garden great again.
Sorry, buddy. I know you like your Trump, don't you?
I don't really want to get into politics here.
No, I don't
But,
need. You only needed the yes or no. That's
No,
all. Good.
but the answer is hell yes.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, hell yes.
Mate,
And it's
mate,
not because
politics is all right.
Trump was elected president. I have followed that man. He and I are the same age, and I
Okay.
have followed him ever since when I was back starting my first company, and I I read his books, and some of the best advice I ever got in my business life came from The Art of the Deal, his book.
Okay.
And I followed his career, the ups and the downs, because I had downs too. I
Oh, yeah.
was rich, broke, and every time that I went broke, it wasn't anything that I did wrong. It was the times, the world changing,
Yeah.
recession, or something bad happened, and I don't care how good a swimmer you are. When a tsunami hits, you're gonna die. You're gonna
And you
swimming
can
is
only
not.
tread water for so much and hold your
Yeah,
breath.
yeah. So, but I followed him through his financial troubles and everything else. And one thing that and through his career in entertainment and everything else, uh, interestingly enough, and this is the funny thing about it. Interestingly enough, until he decided to run for president, that I don't think the man had an enemy in the world.
Oh, really?
Everybody loved Donald Trump. He was at the Hillary and Bill's wedding, or their daughter's wedding. I mean, he or no, it was the Clintons were at his wedding, but everybody he donated to everybody, and including most of the Democrats. Everybody wanted to be his friend. They wanted to be invited to his golf courses. They wanted to know him. They wanted to be seen with him. They
Yeah,
loved
but
him.
that doesn't necessarily mean that they liked him. It's just that some of them need to blow smoke up someone's bum.
But they
In
did.
that,
But they did
in that
like him.
regard.
That's just it. The guy is a likable guy.
I'm not saying he wasn't
What you
okay.
see is what you get.
Mm.
He's not a devious guy, and he earned everything he ever got the hard way.
No, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Fair enough.
and I admire him for that. And I also admire that in the face of the adversity that he's facing and the dirty tricks they're playing on him and all this nonsense they keep coming up with, the guy has done more for our country than anybody's done since, I think, Ronald Reagan, unfortunately. And this is coming from a Jewish Democrat from
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
me.
yeah.
I
That's
was
right.
born in a Jewish family in Philadelphia that were Democrats. It was unheard of for a Jew back in those days to be a Republican.
See, I know Nay was quite impressed because he travels the roads quite a bit, and he says what you do is you look at the economy wherever you are at the basic. And he says if the trucks are going up and down the road and there's movement, well, something's happening. And if it's happening, it must be happening for the right reason. When things become stagnant and stale, there's very little movement and there's not a lot of money around, and therefore, hence, no movement. So he said there's quite a bit of movement,
It's
and
incredible. It's incredible.
that's your economy.
It's incredible what's going on now. I can tell you
Yeah.
that for the first time, my medical deductibles went down last year.
Okay.
The deductibles, the co-pays that I had to pay, actually went down for the first time in my life. I'm on Medicare here, but we still have to have supplement, or insurance, and the co-pays for a doctor's visit went down 25%. Now that's almost unheard of. There's so much. I mean, everything is just so corrupt, and not just in our country, everywhere in the world. The
Yeah.
corruption in government in general is
Yeah.
mind-boggling. And
Yeah.
uh,
I understand.
how do these people, we elect them to be a congressman or a senator, they become multimillionaires.
It's like
Look at this.
I was talking to Thomas about the health system and the hospital that was built in Adelaide. We got one of the best hospitals in the world, and we were able to do it at a funding that blew out a little bit, but not too bad. That our government can cope with, or our people can cope with. And he was describing the hospital in Dublin and that, and he says it's a shame it's blown out the millions. He says, God help if someone stole a chocolate bar, they'd have to pay for it. But all these other guys that are blowing money out of their billions are not accountable for. And it's the same within your country or any other country. They need to be set accountable for.
I see Craig is back, your buddy. Mad Kiwi. Glad you
There you
made
go,
it back.
Mad Kiwi.
Glad you made it back. And Jay Santiago is
Thanks
here.
to the
Paul.
thanks to the police, the Popo.
Paul Phantom Hodges drone is here, and see Mel is still around. I think we must have lost Night Train Mike because he has a show he's on.
Mike comes in and out.
Yeah.
It depends on how busy he is.
He's got his show now at 7 o'clock, so
Yeah, that's right.
we're on separate networks. I'll have to check the trade press tomorrow, see who got the higher ratings. Probably him.
Well, he gets a lot of traction. His show. He's
Yeah.
You know what I noticed about him, Not Train, is with the comments that he ever made in Canadian Drone Hub and whatnot. Across the board, he comes across very intelligent in the fact that he's very knowledgeable, because there's a lot of things that are feasible that one or two people may know, and that gives a bit of reputation that, hang on, this guy knows his stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that he's quite knowledgeable, and I've always given him that. Been impressed with what he has to say and do. Not a bad bloke.
I just read a comment from Phantom Hodges Drone, which I love some of these guys. Paul, he says, I don't know if you read it, he says, I'm a Canadian and everybody has a political opinion and I am fine with that. But when you're done with Trump, send him north. We could use some help here. We could use some help here. We got Trudeau. I love that. Yeah. Well, look, it's dividing our country. This is dividing our country in ways I've never seen. I was in the military I never went to Vietnam, but I was in the Army during the Vietnam years, from 1966 until 1970. And fortunately, I enlisted instead of giving them 2 years of my time, I gave them 4 years, and I enlisted with a guarantee that I would not go to Vietnam. Now, I trusted them to honor the guarantee because I'm a Jewish kid from Philadelphia. What do I know from killing people?
It's like Muhammad Ali. Was it Muhammad Ali or was it
Muhammad Ali?
Oh no, the one that changed his name when he became
the fighter.
Yeah,
Muhammad Ali. It was Cassius Clay. Yeah, because he was Cassius Clay first.
I know about Vietnam. He says, I don't know him from a bar of soap. Why do I want to kill someone that I don't?
Well, why do I want to kill them when even our government didn't know why we were there? But I was very fortunate. I had a great 4 years in the military. I spent time I actually spent a year in Turkey. I think I've told that story. And then they sent me to Germany, and I spent almost 2 years in Germany. And I had enough rank. I had a little MGB, a little sports car, and they shipped that. They actually shipped it over there for free for me. And I was stationed in northern Germany at the time, and the car came into Antwerp, Belgium, to the port there, and here I was a young 21-year-old or whatever, and on an adventure. I got on the train and took the train to Antwerp, and I stayed in it was the first time I'd ever stayed in a European style hotel and it was wintertime, and they don't heat the rooms. They just give you a comforter that's about 6 feet thick that but the rooms are freezing, and I've never stayed in it, but it was a great experience. And I went and I got my car, and God, was that if you can imagine, here I am, 21-year-old kid. I'm 4,000 miles away from home, and I get, well, let me let me just put that story on hold for a second and remind me to get back to it, okay? So I can
Okay.
welcome in.
Turkey.
I can
Oh,
welcome in
yes,
one of the old guy in a drone alumnus here.
and how
A
you going?
man,
How you going, TV?
a man who got his start on my channel, kind of like so many famous comedians got a start on Johnny Carson. This man today is a star, and I can say that he got his start on my show. So everybody, welcome Mr. Mike Roche.
Oh, Mike Roach. Yes, I like Mike.
Hey, thank you,
Oh,
Mitch.
good
Hey,
morning
how
to you,
you
Mike.
doing, Trevor?
How you going, buddy?
Good. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, I'm going well, mate.
Good. Yeah, thank you, Mitch, for letting me in. And
Oh
you
God,
know,
anytime, anytime. You're always,
yeah,
you're always welcome here. And when I'm here by myself, man, I mean, this is nothing personal, but anybody's welcome. You need what did an old friend of mine, Michael. His name was Michael. We used to when I was between marriages, we used to go out. I hate to use the word whoring around, but we used to go out to the bars trying to pick up women. Mike and I did, and Michael. His name was Michael too. Michael was kind of a strange guy. He would introduce himself to people. He'd walk up to women and he'd say, "Hi, I'm Mike from Earth." And he would do this with a straight face and wait for the reaction. He would stand at the door of a club, and when he saw two women come in, he'd greet them and say, "Good evening, ladies, table for two," and then he'd bring them and sit them down with us. I mean, the guy had cojones, but
did it work?
when you ask Mike what his requirements were for in a woman, okay, his answer was, one leg, one arm, one eye, not necessarily in that order. I mean, that's the kind of guy Mike was. And I feel like Mike, when I'm sitting here by myself trying to think about what to talk of, is
Right.
anybody, one arm, one eye, whatever. Come on in and keep me
Isn't that
company.
like Nelson? What was the great commander? One
I-
eye, one arm.
I
It
didn't.
what was his name? And Lord Nelson?
Oh, or from the British Navy?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
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 So Mike, are you bathing? Are you basking in the glory of the radiation of the light coming from your brand new iMac?
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh,
I do have it ordered though. It's supposed to be at the Apple Store the next Wednesday.
I thought you got it already.
No, I ordered it, and it takes about a week or so. They don't have them all, every edition of it in the back room. So yeah, but I finally pulled the trigger, and hopefully I'll pick it up next week, and then hopefully get it set up within a few days after that, and then start working on lighting and stuff in here, and who knows, maybe I'll get a live stream going after
You
Christmas.
should, and I'll be happy to be on it with you.
Yeah.
I'd
But
like to
Mike,
be
you're so
too, Mike.
popular that everybody's going to want to be on your stream. I got to beg for people to come on to my show. I don't.
Well, you do not, Mitch.
I just think there's some there's a lot of live stream of people out there
Yeah.
doing live streams for the sake of doing live streams, and I think you have to have in my opinion there are a lot of things that could be done that aren't being done. There's a lot of good stuff being done, but
Yeah.
there's room for
Get better.
something different, other than let's talk about drones, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's one thing I can certainly say about my show is that it just goes off in a different direction every time we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talk about
Mike, don't
diet,
you-
politics, drones, whatever.
But Mike, don't you think YouTube's trying to create that in some way? And some people, like in my case, I want to try and get my watch hours up, right? So I have my stream running, and we just talk about anything. But
Right.
sometimes it can get bogged down to very little content or good quality content. until I get my watch hours up. But I do strive to get better. But I think a lot of other people are doing that, where you hear them and all they are is doing sound over of shouting out and whatnot. But it gets very boring,
Right.
and where they're just reading off the chat and that's all they do. Well, I don't think that's a really good quality live stream.
Right.
I think interaction is the key. As long as there's interaction, and that will make a good live stream. Like Mitch gives interaction, you give interaction, and I give interaction. All my live streams I've had to try to give interaction, and I think that's what makes a better live stream.
Yeah, I understand though, like you said, because of the new rules in the last few months about live streaming, where people can't go mobile unless they have 1,000 and all that stuff. That they sit in a room with a camera and just get anybody to watch them talk about anything in order to reach that threshold. I've never been concerned about that, but I think there's just room. So part of it is to get my 1,000 maybe, so I can then live stream from the drone next summer. But I just think there's room out there for some a little different type of content, that something I've kind of have a conception of in mind. Nothing spectacular, but just something a little different. And that's why we should all do our own thing. Like your channel, Trevor, is not it's unusual. It's very different. You stand out from the rest of us.
And it's only just touched the surface. I've got a lot of other incredible things, but anything I've done in life, I've wanted to learn the art over a few weeks or months to get it right before I go and approach it. So a lot of stuff is still on the back burner, because I had to learn how to do the editing. I had to learn how to do the filming, and I'm still not very good at it. But once I do, all I say is watch out and watch this space.
Yeah.
Well, we watch. We do.
I know. I turned in last week, and there was a frog talking on your channel, Trevor.
That was me. That was the frog.
Yeah, that's a kids. You got to watch that kids stuff now. I mean, I couldn't
that's
click
the
that
new
box.
thing now, rule.
Yeah, I couldn't click that no kids content fast enough. Don't even look here for children's stuff.
Well, Mitch's drone channel, right? And not Mitch, Claude's drone channel. He was getting boxed in by YouTube. Is your channel a children's channel? All because he was using face rig, and it was making him go around in circles, clicking boxes and trying to make them convinced that it isn't a kids channel, but it is favourable for kids to see. But it's not necessarily a kids channel,
Right.
and it's not they're trying to push that you're one or the other. And
Well, one of the things that I gathered from listening to the FTC, the people that are responsible for fining YouTube a tremendous amount of money, is, and I made this point earlier in the stream, if some of you hadn't heard it, was basically whether you set out to put out children's content, you have to be very careful that you don't inadvertently put content in either your live streams or your videos that fall into the different categories that they consider are attractive and will attract children. Even certain kinds of music, that you're playing the theme from Mary Poppins, you're attracting children, and if an F-bomb happens on your channel, bam, you could conceivably be in the line of fire. So you got
to. It's like attracting children with tobacco products. You've got to be deemed or seen that you're not going to attract the youth consumer. And if that's the way the YouTube is going, it's not to attract them. And that's why they wanted to ask him, but ridiculously over and over again, trying to and it looped him into certain areas that he couldn't get out of. It is the children's channel. I had the same deal yesterday.
Oh, really?
I was looped on my mobile phone, and then in the end, they got sick of it happening, so they just pushed me to go to my PC or laptop and solve it that way. Because I just couldn't get on a live stream on my mobile for that reason. And even though I've got 1,600 subscribers or close to it.
Huh.
And so I got sick of it and went home, and by then I was onto some other tangent that I was doing. So it didn't happen yesterday.
I never did a live stream from my mobile phone because I don't have 1,000 subscribers yet. But Mike, you can, Greg, Oz by Drone put up a video of how to bypass.
Yeah, there is
Right.
bypass.
Yeah, because if you have a drone and you put your stream key in the
Yeah.
drone and use the RMTP link, it bypasses that. It's the same as streaming from a desktop platform. So you can
Yeah,
stream.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah,
And
I
we
saw
can do
that
it with,
video that he made about that.
And StreamYards will allow you to not have 1,000. But even with my StreamYards, I was trying to.
But you
even
can't.
with 1,000.
You
But it was all
can't.
the protocol with the children stuff that bogged me down.
Well, that's I think in a couple of weeks that'll die down a little bit. Everybody will. Now when you go into YouTube and set up a video, you got warnings everywhere. I mean, you talk about overcompensating. You got banners at the top of the page, and the first thing that came up when I set up this stream today was that questions is, do you have, is this directed at children? And I just clicked no. So if that's all I got to do is click no and avoid playing children's songs,
You're on your laptop, you see, or your main computer. So
Yeah.
that was okay, but I was trying to do it with my mobile device because I'm trying different things out, and I wanted to use my mobile device because it was small. I've got a very good mobile now that it's a S9 Plus, so it does a lot of editing which is very user friendly. And I wanted to use that so while I'm on the go and doing what I can hold my mobile, but I just got to get a steady gimbal for it.
Yeah,
And once
get
I
one
do
of
that,
those
I'll get it.
DJI Osmo Mobile 3 or whatever, that new one.
Yeah, I'll do that because I've got Osmo mobile gimbal. Osmo gimbal, but it's a lot to set up. So I'll use that for my evening shots and my night one and my time lapse because it does really good stars and moon and everything. So while I'm setting that up, I'll do that all for my. And what I do is there's stuff that I work with lighting, and I put lights along dotted and different lighting dotted along the lake. And what it does is it picks up the light reflection on the lake. And what I do is I give it longer exposure and you give it time lapse. And before you know it, I've got some photos there of all the colours that it's picking up off the reflection of the lake. And it's a camera art form that I'm adding to my art channel for video. And I've got footage of that, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, sounds
So-
like a full-time job for you.
Kind of like light painting.
Yes, like light painting off the lake.
Right.
We've got the idea of Asgard Studios. He does a lot of light painting within his studio.
Mhm.
Well, I thought I could do better than this without competing, but do it differently.
Right.
I can do it and use my lake settings to do it. And then use the exposure and whatnot to aid that. Because all it does is the exposure is to trap more light longer, and
Right.
it aids that, and that's how you get your moons and stars and whatnot. I learned a lot off of what's the guy that does the Dennis,
Love Lady.
no, the other Dennis, Nachos. I've got a lot of information off of him because he does a lot of night work,
Yeah.
where he sits hours and hours and hours at night to capture it. Well, I
Wow.
thought with that information and then add the lighting with the art, I've got something different.
So how's your weather, Mike?
It's freezing up here. Right now, it's in the 20s outside right now. And we got a few inches of snow the other day, but it's all going to melt next week, and so it'll be back to green grass for a little while longer until we finally go into it.
Then you get the hard freeze. Did you hear?
Yeah.
Did you hear that Chris Hope got a Mavic Mini?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody there's mini mania right now. It's like
Not me. I got to save my money when they tell me that my Skydio 2 is ready.
oh, that's the thing. I think the mini is a pretty cool little drone. But for us guys who already have a Mavic and I already have a Mavic Air, it's like there's no reason to get the Mavic Mini.
Yeah, what do you need it for?
Right, it's a new thing. I think there's a lot of people getting it who don't have a Mavic Air or whatever, but a lot of people, there seems to be an unusual amount of almost like mania over this drone. Like people who have no need for it just want to get it.
And there'll probably be a lot of them for sale here.
Yeah.
On the RC, and the bulletin boards.
Yeah. And I think it's a great little drone. It's just if you travel or something, it'd be terrific. It's a really small drone with 2.7 K video, but I don't see where all those guys who have multiple drones would want one.
Yeah, I have no. I don't even know why I want the Skydio 2, but
I've got a mate that's flying me a Skydio 2, but what I want to use it for is my activity, but film my other drone as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys asked me earlier. Somebody asked me if I could film my RC airplane, have a drone follow it, and I said, wow, wouldn't it be fun to take the beacon and the Skydio and stick it inside the RC airplane, and take off the airplane, and then tell the drone follow the airplane and try to fly slow enough and see what happens. It should follow it fine. That'd be. So I'm going to try to do that. I mean, from the videos I've seen from this drone, you can't crash that thing if you try.
Well, evidently it's got AI.
God, yes.
And so therefore it actually is designed for, say, dirt bike riding, as well as drifting and that. Well, it'll actually keep up with the apex. You know how the cars are designed to try to get faster and faster.
Yeah.
It'll actually pick up on that and try to get faster and faster, and then avoidance mode, which is a bonus. So I think all those qualities are going to be ideal for what I want to do with filming my skins on my drone, and then filming because I want to film the drone, so to capture the skins.
Did you order one? Did you order one? Oh, you can't in Australia. You can't get it in Australia yet, can you?
No, but we're going to try to get someone in America to order it, and then send it. But it might be logistical as well as financial, depending on how that works, of what we can come up with. But we can't get anything in Australia yet, or our plan B is to wait till it does come in Australia.
It will sooner or later, but if you have somebody try to send it from the States, the import duties that you have over there are absurd. When I was selling cigars, we used to get a lot of orders from Australia, and they wanted between 200% and 400% import duties.
On an average, they want about $15 tax on top of taxes to import, but it does clock up with money.
It's crazy.
So you've got to be careful when you've got to ask up front what it's going to cost and everything like that before you make your decision. Like Nay was going to, I was going to get my OBS Stream Deck, and that was going to cost me at least up to $500 to buy. Well, I end up getting another one, which ended up only costing me about $130. It's a different model and all the rest. I could get that from Australia. Anything else I wanted, I had to get it ordered, and then they would send it to a major retail centre, and they're only selected retail centres, and then you'd have to drive to go and get it, and then you didn't know whether they were going to be there on time,
Oh,
with communication breakdown and all the rest of it with these markets. And so it was a whole heap of rigmarole. But some other items, Nay said he could have got and send it. Like he was going to get a buy stream deck when they had the Amazon sale. Well, it was going to cost him $300 by the time he was going to send it to me. And he was going to pay for it until he found out that the imports and everything scared him. So he cancelled it. So I had to go my own avenue that way.
well, we're spoiled here with Amazon now. Not only can you get anything on Amazon, and what amazed me one time was I had to get I had a riding lawnmower 5 years ago and bent the spindle on it, and I found and Amazon, I found the exact part on Amazon cheap and had it in 2 days. Now you get almost everything comes next day.
Yeah,
It's
incredible.
here next day. You order something, it comes the very next
Yeah.
day. Yeah,
Which is kind of funny with this Mavic Mini. There's a lot of people who've ordered it and didn't realize they were pre-ordering. You know,
Yeah.
you know, and it's grown men who we've become so used to this instant stuff that we've got grown men out there complaining because it didn't come today.
yeah.
You know,
Hey, listen, it's like buying from Banggood in
It takes me
China.
a month or two in some cases.
Yeah, and that's how I am when I buy from China. I a lot of this stuff in the FPV, and especially in the fixed wing FPV,
Exactly.
you got to get from China, from Banggood. What a name for a company, Banggood.
Yeah, that's
You know,
right.
it's almost as bad. We got a furniture store down here, Badcock.
Yeah, and you got Bangkok.
Yeah,
And then you go
Badcock,
back-
BADCOCK. Hear that,
And then
kiddies?
you've
That's a
got-
name. It's all over their sign, Badcock. And
And then you've got that other country or town, city, what is it, Fukyu or something like
yeah,
that. And so there's various abbreviations in
no,
all
but
the same things, isn't it?
but it takes me 3 weeks from
See,
Banggood.
I got items reimbursed because I tried to get a FPV drone and controller and whatnot from China. It took months and months, and then eventually they reimbursed me. And then another one I tried, it didn't turn up or anything, so the post office reimbursed me.
It's Mel.
So in the end, I'm not going to go
Hey, Mel.
FPV for a while. How you going, Mel?
Hate to interrupt you,
Hey, guys.
Trev, but Mel is here. Hey,
Yeah, that's what
Mel,
I'm talking.
how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. Hi, Mike,
hey Mel, how you doing?
Trevor, Mitch,
How you going, buddy?
everybody in chat. Hello.
Hey, thanks for coming in, buddy.
I broke away from my mundane, what I was doing, and thought I'll go visit with Mitch for a few minutes.
You got a TV running there or something?
Yeah. Is it too loud?
Yeah, I hear it.
Let me mute it.
Okay. I'll tell you, these mics pick up everything, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Even if it's in the next room. So, you going to be able to fly in the wintertime there, Mike?
A little bit. The thing is, the drones can handle it. Being out in the cold weather, I can't handle it.
Fly from in the car.
Well, that's part of the possibility. Since
Yeah.
I drive a van, with a friend, I could always pull up somewhere, open one of the side windows, and kind of, as long as I am doing some reasonable flights, I could get some wintertime stuff in, and I don't. We're pretty much grounded up here, but if you get a nice day, you can sure fly and get some
Yeah.
beautiful
Well,
scenery.
you should get a few nice days.
Yeah. So, but I go into a different mode in the wintertime. For me, in terms of, I just can't take the cold myself like I used to. So I get more into the joining in the streams like yours and all that, and just a different mindset. And then spring comes and we come back to life again.
There you go. What have you been up to, Mel?
Hey, Mal.
Oh, Same old, Mitch. Same old, same old.
Now, where are you located now, Mel?
I'm in the southern states, Tennessee, Arkansas
Okay.
area.
Yeah, because
Have you found any work yet, sorry, Mel?
What's that, Trevor?
Have you found any work yet?
Maybe. I
Maybe.
think I've got something lined up. Finally.
Whoa,
Yeah,
we got.
How you going doing things of Darwin? Brad, I think his name is.
And sure, I do a whole show. I do a whole show with one or two of me and Trev, and then Mike joins in. And now that I'm 15 minutes from ending it, guess who shows up? I'll give you a clue.
oh, it's there goes the neighborhood.
I put you next to Mel, if that's okay with you, Art.
Mel, good to see you.
There you go, that way, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry I'm late. I've been working overtime all this week and just got home, grabbed dinner, and thought hey, time to jump on Old Guy in the Drone Show.
That's the place to be, man. It's just, waiting. We're waiting. I'm waiting for the world to discover one day, if I should live that long, that they discover that this is the place everybody wants to be.
Yep, that's right.
You're going to be an overnight success, man.
Yeah,
Take a few years.
You want to hear? Yeah, right. You want to hear some of my other pipe dreams? I'll tell you.
Kind of reminds me of that little joke that you might say to your wife or whatever, honey, I told you I would get it done. I don't need to be reminded every 6 months.
Yeah, that's true. So how's your Robo Master coming there, Arthur?
Well, I've got the wheels all done. I'm this weekend I'm going to be working on the chassis and really getting into the build.
Okay.
So I'll do another live stream of the build. It'll be kind of the younger version, Old Guy in a Drone building shit.
Yeah, I seem to be doing that. I'm trying to figure out a place to keep all this crap I keep building.
I'll give you my P.O. box, Mitch. I have a really large P.O. box that'll handle the storage quite well.
I'll bet. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't. I told you we had a couple of great flying days down here, and instead of going out and flying, I'm building this airplane, and then I finally get the airplane done. The weather turns to shit. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah. So. And tomorrow, it's the next couple of days. The cold front's coming through. This cold front that's been killing all y'all up there is finally going to hit us. And it started raining this afternoon. It's going to be windy. I mean, it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, but you know how it is. I don't know if you know how it is in Florida. The day after the cold front goes through, you get that 20-mile-an-hour north wind, and the sun. You get a beautiful sunny day, but it's too gusty and windy to fly model airplanes. So. We're stuck with that.
How does it fly? Does it fly pretty good?
I haven't flown it yet. I haven't maiden it yet. That's what I'm waiting. I just finished it, and the weather turned bad. So
you see, Mel, I asked him to get the Spank the Monkey to fly it first on its maiden. He's considering it.
Nah, I think I'll let Spank just sit there and I'll fly the airplane. Listen, Mel, the airplane is. Got a lot of crap in it. It's a good size. It's not a huge airplane. It's kind of a modest size, 4-foot wingspan, and
wow, that's almost as tall as me.
And it's got a pretty heavy battery and all the flight controllers and cameras in it. So it's pretty heavy. And from what I've seen, this airplane carries the weight great. It moves along pretty good. It's not gonna be a slow floating airplane. It's gonna fly twin engine. But, you're an RC pilot. You know what it's like. As far as RC airplanes go, this is probably, on a scale of 1 to 10, probably a 4 in the difficulty of actually just flying the thing.
Just make sure that you either if you don't have one, make one, a stand to set it on the wing spar so that you can, so you have a stand like this and you set the aircraft across with the fuselage in the middle of the stand and you set it right on the wing spar to get it roughly balanced before you try to fly it the first time.
Hang in there a second. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Now, Mel, with those twin engine RC planes, obviously with a single engine, you know, you got one engine, one given amount of power, you can throttle up, throttle down. But with a twin engine, do you have to be very careful about having the engines equal in power?
It depends on how you do it, because if you can run both motors off of a single speed control, then both motors will get the same amount of power put to them.
Okay.
If you have to use two speed controls, then yeah, you have to be very careful with your throttle movements.
You talking about one of these?
And with
Bill?
that's exactly what I'm talking about. I kind of figured you'd have one.
Yeah, you know who you're talking to here, don't you?
Yeah,
You know?
the wise
Yeah.
guy on the drone.
Yeah, this is a great. It was made by Great Plains, and the nice thing
Yep.
about this balancer is it's got a big, nice rubber pad
There
where
you
you
go.
set the wings, and then it has a thing with a ruler and a thing that sticks up. So if it tells you that it needs to balance, say, 2 inches behind the leading edge, you just set this
Right.
gauge here to 2 inches and set the wing on it so that the leading edge just touches the little
Right.
there it is, the little marker.
Yep.
And I did it last night and got the thing balanced perfectly. And you know anybody that's
Well,
been in
then
this hobby for a while knows the
Then you should have no tail heavy surprises when you take off.
no, not at all. And it's got a listen. Believe it or not, it has a tendency, because of this huge battery, it'd be very nose heavy. I had to shove the battery way back to get it to balance.
I kind of figured you'd have to adjust things in there to balance it.
Well, it's really nice. You got almost a foot in there where you can move that battery, because the battery actually can go underneath the mounting platform where all the electronics are, and you can actually push the battery back right on the CG if you want to. The problem is sticking your hands in there to get a strap around it to hold it in. So
Right.
I put some Velcro in the bottom and one strap, and it's not going to go anywhere
There you
because I'm
go.
not going to be flying. Although once I get it in the air in that first flight, the tendency to start doing 4-point rolls and split S's and all that stuff, it's just I can't stop myself, and I
Well, not unless you got everything inside secured really good.
oh yeah, nothing's going anywhere. It ought to be a pretty good airplane. You know, I used to build these turbine jets,
Yeah.
and you talk about cramming stuff inside an airplane. That these big scale models, I had that F-100 I built actually had 5 air systems in it.
Wow.
It had 5 separate air systems with 5
So
separate.
Is this one run with 2 ESCs or one?
No, it's got 2 ESCs.
And you're using
One on each wing, and then basically each one of those, of course, plugs into the battery, and
so
then
you
each
run
one.
both of those off of one servo channel?
Well, no. It has. You get your control to go into your receiver channel from each one, and you take the power. You're not getting power through that. All you need is the signal and the ground, and then in the controller that the Maytech controller, like a flight controller on a drone, using iNav, you can assign each motor its own channel, and basically iNav you just tell iNav to treat those 2 channels equally and assign them to the throttle. But what you can do if you really want to get fancy is you can create a mix in your radio that actually can control one of those 2 channels differentially from the main channel, which means that I could take the radio like this and have a knob up here, see?
Right.
And in the center, it would be feeding the motors both motors the same signal, but then as I turned this one down, it would raise and lower the weight of that. And you could actually synchronize the motors like you do in a twin engine airplane. But I don't think I'll need to do that.
Yeah.
Are you going to put
and you've got one set up for counter rotation, right?
Yeah, they're counter rotating,
right.
Which is nice because you don't get that P factor on takeoff. It usually pulls out pretty straight.
And it keeps the prop wash even across the rudder and stuff.
And
too.
I've got I set up dual rates on it so that if it's sometimes on these things you set up way too much control because you don't know how much control you really need, and some airplanes need a lot, some airplanes need so I set up a dual rate with about an 80% lower on one on a switch as well. I'm using almost every switch on this radio, and God knows there's a lot of switches. There's so many. You've got modes in iNav. You have a altitude hold. Okay, you have the same modes as drones. You have angle, horizon, and acro, or you have what the main and most important mode is called manual. And when you have it in manual, the flight controller has nothing whatsoever to do with anything. You have a direct connection to the radio, just like you would if you were flying it without a flight controller.
Oh, okay.
So if the flight controller does something hinky, you just go back to manual and fly the stupid airplane.
Yep.
In fact, that's the maiden flight's going to work that way. I'm going to take it off, no goggles, no nothing. I'll have the goggles sitting there, and I'll have the recorder, the DVR going, so it's recording the picture. But I'm not going to wear the goggles. I'm going to go out there and fly the airplane, trim it up first.
Yep.
And then when you get it all trimmed up, you go in and you do a thing in the radio called auto trim, which basically takes your trim settings and applies them to the midpoints. Right. And recenters the trim, so your radio is now trimmed. And then you go into iNav, and you tell it that these new midpoints are the actual midpoints, and that way when the autopilot doesn't have to fight, because the autopilot will fly the plane level because it's going by the gyro. But if your midpoints are off, then the autopilot is fighting that all the time.
Right.
Whereas if you get it trimmed out where it's trimmed without the autopilot, and then when you turn the autopilot on, it knows the new centers, it's not going to fight it. It ought to fly it much smoother. Then it's got another mode called, it's got altitude hold. So at any time you're flying, you just click that switch and it's just going to hold that altitude. It's got course hold, nav hold. It's got waypoints, follows waypoints if you set up waypoints in it. It has a mode called auto tune, which is something I never heard of. And you need a switch for that. So you turn on the auto tune mode, and then you just fly the airplane like crazy, rocket sideways, up and down, real hard movements every which direction. And the flight controller actually learns and resets some of the PIDs in flight. And you do that a couple times, and the things
sounds almost like on the go IMU calibration.
Yeah, it's really incredibly complex.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's going to be it's interesting. And that's the kind of stuff that just fascinates me. I'm a real glutton for this kind of stuff. So we'll see.
What color are you going to make that plane?
Well, it's white with it came with the decals. It looks like a Coast Guard colors.
Oh, okay.
Orange, black, and white.
Right.
Yeah, it's not bad with the decals. It looks pretty good.
I saw you working on a wing the other day, and you were taking a scripto knife there and cutting some edges, for your flaps.
Because the thing comes, the ailerons are already loose, but it gives you the option of using flaps or not. So the flaps are connected to the wing.
Right.
And if you want to, and there's two little blocks in behind them in the hinge that hold the flap firmly in place if you don't want to use it. So if you do want to use it, you have to cut the between the inboard edge of the flap and the wing, and then you have to cut out those little blocks that are holding that in place. So and that worked out pretty good. So I put got two notches of flaps in it, about 40 degrees and about 20 degrees, and interestingly enough, the first time you try to use the flaps, what generally happens is you put the flaps down, the airplane just balloons up like crazy. So once you know how much down elevator you need to hold at a landing airspeed to keep the airplane from ballooning, when you get back down to the ground, you create a mix that if the flaps are set, the radio logic says if the flaps are set to say full position, move the elevator down proportionally with the flaps. And if you remember how much down you needed to hold, you can pretty well figure out how much, and you can actually tune that in so that as you lower the flaps, it automatically gives it the appropriate amount of down elevator to keep it from ballooning up. And this is true for real airplanes, because any airplane, when you put the flaps up and down, you got to retrim it. You know, you're going to have to retrim it anyway. So, so by this time in the year 2026, I will probably have all of the fine tuning and adjustments done on.
I was going to say, and when will we actually have this thing tuned up?
I think that that's one of the fun parts about this, is that it never ends. It's like a kid with a hot rod. You know, when's it going to be finished? Not yet, because when I'm done with this, I'm going to. And I think that because as soon as you think you got it tuned, then they're going to come out with a new firmware, upgraded version of iNav with all kinds of new features, and of course you're going to want to flash that and take advantage of some of the things.
Maybe
not.
Technology is going these days too. Like in the drone world, look at, we're all used to our DJI type drones or FPV or whatever, and now this Skydio is coming out, and you know, it really, you know, the overused word is game changer, but it really does look like a game changer in some ways. You know, like a whole new different way to fly, and who knows, in everything, planes or whatever, in 6 years what it's going to be like.
This guy who did the video with the dirt bike that I saw, he had never flown a drone.
The dirt bike or the mountain bike?
No, a mountain bike.
Right, the mountain bike.
Yeah, he had never flown a drone ever. Okay, and he had this thing following him, but then he went ahead and took the cell phone app. Okay, and flew the drone with the cell phone app, and flew it towards things and through the trees, and never hit anything. It's just you know, you tell the drone go forward, and it keeps trying to find a way forward.
And those were some pretty thick woods. I saw that.
Oh, you saw that video? Yeah, and I saw that video, and I said, "Holy cow!" I said, "I don't think you could crash this thing if you tried. If you
got trapped once in a while, but
but it didn't crash.
Better to be trapped than to crash.
Right? It didn't crash.
It
didn't hit anything. That is amazing,
Yeah.
And the guy never flew a drone before, so it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
I wish I had a reason to get one. You know, I just don't have. I don't have any reason to be followed. You know?
Do any of us have any real reason to get the shit we want to get? We just get it, you know.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
exactly.
Mike.
If you
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike, I get it. You know, if something like that, but you know, what am I going to do with it? But you know, just for to have that anti-collision stuff eventually get into all of our drones. You know, it would be kind of cool to cut through trees and everything.
But you need, you do need a tremendous amount of processing power.
Yeah.
And you know, this thing has got something that the DJIs don't. It's got that Texas Instruments 256 core graphics the NVIDIA rather, the graphics processor in there that, you know, those are the kind of things that make gaming work on a computer. And you're doing trillions of calculations a second. It is as close to artificial intelligence as I think we're going to see in anything. Like that.
Oh, it's cool.
And with the newer DJI stuff, the Mavic 2 Pro and Zoom, if you put those in tripod mode, then you activate 360 degrees both directions, obstacle sensors, and it makes that one impossible to crash into anything reasonably big.
Right.
You might catch twigs on trees and things, but for the most part, that it makes it impossible to crash.
It just the only downside to that is that it limits the speed that you can go to next to nothing. I mean, you can only go
very slow.
3-4 miles an hour. I know when I was filming last week, when I was filming the Tai Chi people, I said, well, let me just throw this in tripod mode, and it just couldn't. I couldn't get it to go anywhere fast enough. So I said, "Ah, to hell with that. Put it back into P
But
mode."
for filming in tripod mode, though, sometimes they give you some beautiful, smooth footage.
Yeah.
I love tripod mode. For that.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
about
Okay.
you,
Time
Art?
time
You
for
in
Ken.
tripod mode?
Yep.
Art,
Oh, it
thanks for
is
coming in,
already.
buddy. Thanks for coming in. We're going to
You're
shut it down
welcome,
anyway.
man.
You know,
The
I always
class
shut
is
it down
over.
at 8 o'clock. I
Take
count on
care,
Art.
man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Hi, Art.
Man, I never see anybody vacate the premises so fast in my life. Art at
You want to watch the pigeon jerky?
I don't know what it is. He's very active. Art is incredibly active in Ken's chat,
Right.
and he's building his subscriber base faster than I am, and that's how he's doing it. So
Yeah. Gotta give
more
him
power
credit.
to him. I don't particularly want to work that hard. In fact, that's one of the few things, one of the live streams I enjoy watching, because I don't watch the chat. I have a great excuse. It just goes by too fast to keep up with, and I'm on a cell phone when I watch it out in my porch. So,
Right.
but I enjoy Ken's show. I don't know if I'm crazy about the 1 second song stuff or some of that other stuff, but
Yeah, some of the other stuff
But
he
he's-
does.
look-
Yeah.
but it's more like a show than most of the live streams.
Exactly.
Yeah, because most of the live streams are more like poker games where the guys get together,
Yeah.
I
sit around.
actually enjoy the 1 second song, but it's so late here. I got to go to bed. It's
Yeah.
like, because that show is always going over 2 hours.
Yeah, he didn't used to. I mean,
Yeah,
seems
it used to be an hour, and he'd cut it off, and now he
Yeah,
goes
yeah.
crazy with it.
He does.
If he gets
Well-
Kelly on there, he wants to keep going.
Kelly, yeah, and I can't believe the knowledge of music that this Kelly had. I guess when you did it for a living and you were a DJ and worked at a radio station, you would know
Yeah.
all those songs.
Well, yeah, for how many years?
Yeah.
That was his business. That was his livelihood. So,
Yeah.
A
yeah.
lot of years. I guess we lost Manic, so I can't say goodnight to
Yeah.
Trev. But
He's still there, but he's muted, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
But
we'll
I'm
just
gonna-
say good night, Trevor.
Yeah, good night, Trevor. And I'm
Good
going
night, Mike. Good night,
I'm
Hey,
Ben.
Mel. Good to see you, Mel.
Yeah,
Yep.
Mel, thanks for coming in. Come in a little earlier next week if you can.
I'll
Always
see what I can
enjoy having you guys. You know that. And
All right.
Mike Roche, always a
Thanks for
pleasure,
having me
buddy.
on, Mitch. Thanks for
Always
the
a
compliment
pleasure.
on my video the other day.
Oh, that was great. I
The
enjoyed
fall
that. Yeah.
foliage.
And I don't get to watch too many videos either because I'm generally busy with stuff. But I try, your videos I always try to watch.
Cool.
And lately I've been watching fixed wing videos. Ah, Trev came back just in time to say goodnight.
Yeah, I heard you from the kitchen. I was just making breakfast.
Ah, okay.
No.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm hungry too. So let's say we got Drone Kings in Darwin is here too. I haven't been paying attention to the chat. I apologize, but let me say good night to Rick Halber. Good night, Rick. Drone Kings. Tomas is still here. Artco is gone. Jay Santiago, thanks for coming in. Paul, Phantom, Hodges, Drone, Craig, Mad Kiwi, and Barry's RC. Thanks for coming in. Dr. Drone was here a little earlier, and I think that about wraps it up. At any rate, had a great time tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Good time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
really
Yeah,
good.
Trev, thanks for coming in, and enjoyed having you. And I see Mel is gone, so I'm going to say goodnight to the two of you, and then I'm going to wrap it up. So,
Trevor, I just want to say I'm glad to see that you're feeling better, man.
I'm feeling a lot better. My nurse had said my everything's healing, and I'm on track with my brain again, so it's all good.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
we-
saw that one video you went live when you were getting a drink outside of a plate. You had just gotten out of the hospital. And
Yeah,
you seemed
I
so
had a
glad to
meltdown.
be out of the hospital.
Mm.
I can relate to that. When you've been in the hospital, stuck in there, you get out in the world again, it feels so good.
Yes,
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
was glad to see that.
thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
all right, buddy.
All right,
y'all,
Mitch.
y'all take care, and see you in the chat room in Ken Herron Show.
All right,
I'll be
guys.
over at 10.
All
That's
right.
why I'm having breakfast, and I'll be over there. All right.
Okay.
Hooroo.
We'll see you. Take care.
Hooroo.
Hooroo.
Crikey!
Crikey. Wait a minute.
Crikey.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. I got
right.
the original crikey.
All right, guys.
Hey,
Okay,
Ta-
bye,
take
guys.
it easy.
Ben.
Okay, it's just me now, and I'm going to say goodnight. And what I'm going to do here is turn it over to my faithful sidekick. Right after I give everybody the day off, I want you guys to take the rest of the day off, play with your drones, enjoy life. And thanks for coming in. Thanks for watching this thing. And you make an old guy feel very wanted, and I appreciate that. Just want you all to know that. So you all take care. See you around. And if not before, see you next Thursday night. So take care. And here is Spank to say goodnight.